Hi there, funky people. It's Garfunkel back again. I wasn't feeling very good, so I kind of took a little break. But I'm back now, and we're gonna check out When Dungeons Arrives on Fabric. It's a really cool mod, you should check it out. First up is the Bandit Temple. It has different kind of models, and you'll see these around the world, all over the place. It's really cool. Inside, you'll see lots of monsters and spawners and loot appropriate to the kind of building that you're trying to take on. Next up is the Bandit Towers and Village. Usually the Bandit Tower and Village usually spawn together, and it's quite a large building. It's going to be difficult to take on by yourself, so I'd bring friends. Once you clear it out, it'd be a great base for you and your friends. Next up we have the Cerulean Hind, which is basically a giant, whale monster kind of bone thing, and you'll find it all over the place in the water, just out in the overworld. It really makes the world kind of seem alive. Here we have the Colosseum. This is a giant structure and it has lots of difficult mobs in it. You'll have a good time exploring all the nooks and crannies and fighting the main attraction, which is quite difficult to beat. Here we have the giant mushroom. You'll find these mushrooms in the overworld just all over the place, and they really are massive. Much bigger than you would quite think at the first glance. Here we have the Foundry. When you find this structure in the overworld, you're going to be kind of wondering where the rest is. Well, don't fret, look below. There's a huge mountainous foundry underneath that has lots of monster spawners and lots of good loot below. If you look into the sky, you're going to find these large ships too, and they'll have lots of monster spawners. This one's called the Heavenly Challenger. There's 3 of these kind of ships, and you'll find them all over the overworld and in the end. I like this one because it has a large throne room and makes you feel like you're on some sort of weird spaceship. Next up is the Heavenly Conqueror. Kind of looks like a giant fish of some sort, and I really like its design. Next we have the Heavenly Rider, which is more like a mechanical ship with a huge propeller in the back, and lots of spawners that are going to spawn dangerous animals on board. Next you have the Illiger campsite and Mushroom Village. Villager campsites are always going to spawn pretty much close to a villager mushroom village like this. You can tell the difference because the Illiger campsite will have all purple buildings, while the villager one will have different colors. Here's an example of a Illiger outpost village that you'll be able to find in the overworld. Next up, we have the illiger corsair ship. It's a cool little kind of ship that the illigers will have, and it has lots of good loot. This one's right next to a village ready to attack. As you can see, the loot here is really quite done well, but you also find that it's quite difficult to overtake. Next is the illiger fort. This thing is really big. You can spot it from a great distance away and usually spawns evokers and different kind of villagers that are quite challenged to defeat. Inside you'll find just random loot, but it's usually high quality. Next we have the illiger galley. It's a smaller ship, and you can find these off the coasts, usually on the overworld. They have usually good loot. Next is the infested temple. This thing is massive. I don't know how many stories it is, but it's really big and spawns all sorts of really mean, nasty kind of spider creatures inside. It's going to be quite a difficult challenge for you to overtake. I'd bring friends. As you can see here, the top floor, you'll have a massive boss fight, but you'll get lots of good loot. And if you look up to the ceiling, you'll see a large spider kind of structure well. And oh, look, on the side is a skyship. You'll find all sorts of different things spawning out here with this mod. It's really nice to break up the monotony. Here we have the Plague Asylum. At first glance, this looks like a village, mushroom village of some sort, but the true secret is underground, because underground, well, you'll find a huge asylum that not even the bravest would dare to travel. You're going to need a large group to go down here because there's all sorts of nasty things that live down here, and lots of traps. Sort of like this. Next up we have the Scorched Mines. This is a really cool big mine that you'll find kind of just hanging out on the surface, and below, as you can see, there's nothing but spawners down here and lots of trouble. It's a jump down there, but once you get down there, you're in for the treat of your life. Here we have the Shiraz Palace. This is a massive, massive palace that just houses all sorts of different things to take a look at. If you find one of these near a desert, well, you'll be lucky to have this huge base already kind of pre-built, but you'll have to clear out all the spawners, of course. Here's the desert temple for comparison size. I just really love how this looks and just all the neat features that you can find within this huge palace. Here we have a small blimp. You can find these usually attached to the ground with a ladder that you can climb up, and they're chock full of spawners as well and some good loot. Here we have a prairie house. You'll find different variations of this, large and small, all over the place. Do be careful, some of them are trapped. Here we have the Thornborn Towers. Now this is a really massive towering building that you'll find out in the overworld. It has so many different levels and so many different monster spawners. Again, I suggest you bring friends. Here we have the Typhoon and the Undead Pirate Ship next to each other. The Typhoon is basically another skeletal kind of outcropping, and it's really spooky and cool to look at the same time. Here's the underneath under the ribs. Next we have the ghost ship. You'll notice that it has a skull on top of its black sails, and it usually spawns in lots and lots of undead creatures on board. It's going to be a tough fight. Last on the list is the wishing well. You'll find this kind of out in the open, around. It's kind of an interesting sight to see. So that's it for When Dungeons Arise. Please subscribe, like, comment. Tell me what you'd like to see. Other mods kind of fleshed out that really need to be seen, like this. Thanks for watching.